he had these magazines, and I didn't look like that at all. So yeah, so it was kind of weird to me. I didn't like it, even though I was doing my own website and shooting. But this was gonna be my husband. Like, he shouldn't be looking at, you know.
Yeah, guys. I mean, so just for some clarification here, this is an ex-adult entertainer, and she didn't like the fact that her boyfriend, who was going to be her husband, was looking at lewd material in a magazine. But what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, we're looking at an interview through the, what's it called? The Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel. Great channel, guys. Be sure to go and check it out. If you like what I do over here on this channel, you'll probably be interested to have a look at this guy's interviews. I forget the name of the man who runs it. I believe it's Matt, but I could be wrong. But feel free to go and check out the channel. Link in the description. As always, guys, if you're new here, you're liking the videos, make sure you subscribe on the way in. Come and join the Discord if you haven't already. And if you'd like to support the channel, get access to exclusive videos, make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description. But let's see what she has to say, guys.
If he's flattered that I'm doing it, like, I didn't want him looking at other women. I just couldn't give in to that. That was hard for me. But we ended up having a really bad fight, and he started packing my stuff up in my car. And I was like, if you keep putting my stuff in my car, I'm gonna leave and I'm never gonna come back.
Well, I mean, that was probably the point of him putting stuff in your car, right? Was to kick you out. And it's always so funny. If any of you guys have ever kicked a girl out before, like you had to put your foot down because she was, you know, doing some crazy behavior or whatever the case may be. If you've ever kicked a girl out, guys, they always get like really, it's a surprise to them, right? Like they're like, oh really? No, he's serious. He's actually going to kick me out. And a lot of the times they'll be like, oh no, sorry. Do you want me to do this or that? Which of course you kick them out anyway. But these girls like act surprised when they act out in a relationship or they cause problems. It's funny how it's just a surprise when the man just actually puts his foot down, because a lot of these people, man, they never get told no. Now, obviously, I don't know this girl's particular situation. I don't know about the argument that they had, but I'm talking about in a lot of relationships, that's typically how things go. Let's continue.
I was still living in Jacksonville. Um, so he wouldn't stop packing up my car, so I had to follow through. So I got my car, and I just drove. I didn't have a map or any, I mean, I had a paper map, but I didn't have like a cell phone with a map on it to tell me where I'm going. So I just got on the road and started driving. And then I realized, oh, I'm in Tampa. I know somebody who lives there. I knew two people who live there, and I was tired. So I called one of them. I went and stayed at his house. It was it was a guy who was like a model or whatever. So I stayed with him. I didn't really like him. He got on my nerves.
You see, this is what I talk about when I say on the channel, guys, that girls just get free crap. I really mean it, right? Like this girl, when she literally got kicked out of, it sounds like where she was living with the boyfriend at the time. She had no plan, right? She had no idea where she was going. But you know what? She just drove to the two nearest nearby men, and she had a place to stay all of a sudden. Right. This is what I talk about when I say, like, as a man, you would be hard pressed doing that unless you were already connected and had like they were like your good mates, right? Now she's shot with these people before. It seems like on set or whatever the case may be. But this is typically not something that is afforded to men, right? Like if you as a man, you're out on the streets, you're out on the damn streets. Like ain't no girl gonna be random girl gonna be letting you into her house just because you rock up and you're going through some struggles, right? If you've got friends and you're connected, maybe. But this is something I'll jump back into the video in a second, guys. Here, this is something I really don't understand. When we watch a lot of these videos, or we see girls who are approaching 30, 35, 40 plus, whatever the case may be. They typically have this thing where like they didn't have any plan at the time, or that they're 30 or 40 and they still don't have a plan. Guys, if you're a guy and you're kind of grifting through life, you as a man, you can't really afford to be doing that. I never understand how people go through their lives for so long and they don't have a plan about what they're doing. You see what I mean? Like this woman literally got kicked out of her house and she was just driving for the sake of driving. Um, well, not really. We all know that she was going to the dude's house, but it just amazes me, man. The lack of planning and forethought, right? Just always trying to fall back on a man.
So I called the photographer that lived out there that had shot me before and told him I was there. And I don't remember how exactly it went down, but I ended up moving in with him right away. Like, I didn't have to stay by myself, and I didn't ever want to be by myself.
She literally like broke up with her boyfriend and then needed a place to stay, so she just got with this guy so that she had a place to stay. Isn't that absolutely crazy? Like, and I see, and when I look at videos like this, guys, I'm not trying to detract from the fact that, look, a lot of these people have had stuff go on early in their life, right? Like they're either their families all sort of messed up. Maybe the family, like the family wasn't there. Maybe the family did some awful things to them. Like in general, people who go into this sort of industry don't typically have a good upbringing. I'm not trying to take away from that at all. But when I look down in the comments and I see things like, oh, this person was exploited, or, they got all that's happening to this poor woman is the fact that she was used, or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, she chose to shack up with this man so that she wasn't alone and so that she didn't have to provide for herself. Like that's literally in her own words right there. She went to the man's house right after because she didn't want to be alone. Right? Like she could have got some entry level job, paid for a small apartment rent, and gone about it that way, right? What I'm actually seeing here is exploitation on her part towards the man. You see, maybe this man actually liked her. Like maybe this man genuinely liked her and thought that, they could be a couple or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, she's just using him for housing, right? So things just seem a bit backwards to me. I think that when people look at situations like this, it's very easy to take accountability away from the decisions that, for example, she's making. Um, but at the end of the day, it is her life at this point, and she could just pay rent by trying to make her own way in life, and not just trying to not be alone.
That was too scary for me. So I moved with him, and with him, he was a webmaster. He shot his ex-wife. She had her website. He had shot me, and then he took over my website and took it to the next level. And
so not only did she get a free place to live, she also essentially got someone who made her business better, right?
yeah, I was severely depressed in that relationship. I really never really left my bedroom unless I needed to eat. And he was okay just letting me not do anything. But he would shoot me and he would push my boundaries. And he got me doing things that I going even further with things. And it was a weird relationship. He was the same age as my mom, and he was a lot older than me, and we never told each other that we loved each other, but we were a couple. It was very strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if it wasn't a relationship to begin with, right? Like when I talk about relationships on this channel, guys, I have a much more cynical approach to relationships than most people. I understand that. When I talk about relationships, I often talk about them as a transaction, right? So if a girl's looking at you, she's typically doing this whole thing where she's weighing up, can I find a man that's better than him? What's his money looking like? Is he attractive? Weighing you up against certain metrics. And likewise, we as guys, we weigh women up against certain metrics, for example, too. Like, is she pretty? Is she crazy? Is she going to cause hell in my life or not? Those things are typically a man's metrics. So when I look at relationships, I typically take a transactional point of view from it, right? Now, is that a healthy thing? That's a discussion for a whole nother time. But this relationship right here is just one step above that, where it literally just seems like I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this on YouTube, but it just seems like straight up pimping, right? Like you're not actually a couple in the sense, like you express that you're going through depression, trying to continue the relationship. By all means, like cancel the relationship and go and live by yourself. But the reason that she doesn't want to do that, it seems like, is because she needs somewhere to stay. She needs someone to help her with business, and it's a lot easier to not have to, work to pay rent. So I don't know, man. Take away from that what you will, but yeah.
But after about a year and a half of living with him, I ended up, well, he broke up with me. I wasn't shooting a lot of stuff except for my website because that was my main income. So because my website was good and I made a lot of money, that meant that I didn't have to shoot every week or 2 weeks or whatever. I could just do what I wanted to do. But it wasn't making a lot of money, so I wasn't always able to. Well, I did pay my rent, but there was, sometimes where it was really hard to pay my rent.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it would be hard to pay your rent when the person who sounded like was running your business doesn't want to be with you anymore or take your photos. Like, keep in mind, guys, the men who are taking these photos, they probably have all their camera equipment. They're probably doing all of the heavy lifting to make sure that her image gets out there. Right? This woman seems like a slightly older woman, so it's not as it might not be in her wheelhouse to do what the girls are doing right now, which is just Instagram to OF, right? Um, but I just want to quickly point this out, guys. You ever notice how? Let me just switch over here. You guys ever notice how in this particular story that we're being run through right now, the two elements of the story are just men and resources. You see what I'm saying? Like I get that I've only played a small portion of this video right here, guys, but there was no discussion so far of like she actually liked the guy and was with him because of that, right? Which is pretty concerning.
And one time I had to do a contest. I heard about it on the radio, and it was like hot legs contest. And if you knew me, this is not something I would do. It was really dumb, and it was I won, but it was $500. That was my rent, and it was so gross. It was so weird. I don't even know what I did, but so I got to pay my rent that time, and I got back on the dating websites. And then I ended up meeting somebody that I didn't like. Well, I met his friend. I met a friend.
I'm gonna have to skip past this story right here, guys, because it gets a little bit spicy. But again, I'm going to link the original in the description if you want to watch it, and we're just going to quickly skip over this part.
I felt so alone and unloved, and I didn't have a relationship with my family at all. Nothing. So I was like, I'm never gonna hang out with those guys again. And maybe 3 weeks went by, and I'm by myself, and I'm meeting guys. They're coming to my apartment, and I'm feeling obligated to be with them, even if I didn't like them, because they took the time. I don't know. It's just this weird thing that I had.
Yeah. See, this is the point, guys, where you've got to realize that the body count that this woman has, it's not a low one. Okay, and I get comments sometimes on this channel where you guys pick up, you're like, it's almost as if the more beautiful a woman is, the more messed up she kind of becomes over the course of her life, and that is absolutely true, guys. The more male attention that women get, it kind of fries them up a bit. And the reason for that is because what happens is they'll have an experience with a guy who they're very attracted to, right? So, the typical Chad that we talk about on the channel. They'll have an experience with a man like that. And then that experience, it does a few things. Number one, it sets their self-esteem from that point forward. And number two, it sets their ability to compare things, relationships from that point forward also. So if you guys have heard me talk about on this channel before, I talk about imprinting, right? If you don't know what imprinting is, I think AMS has some fantastic videos on that from memory. So be sure to go and check out his channels. Just type in AMS imprinting on YouTube. But these girls will get imprinted by guys, and then their whole self-esteem, their whole personality will be based off of what that guy thought of them and like what his opinion was of her. Like these, and so what ends up happening is as these girls accrue a body count, they just become a confused mess of a person, man. And at the end of the day, they're not sure because they wouldn't. Let's be clear, okay? Those Chads that she was dating, she was never able to please them, right? That's why they were Chad. That's why she chased them. She was never able to please them. So they kind of get warped and bitter, and they try and like assimilate all these different ways to please all of the different people, and it just becomes a mess, man. And we're not even getting into the fact that there's baggage that's associated with that. Sometimes there's kids that are associated with that, and we haven't even touched on the entitlement that comes from that as well. But I mean, it just becomes a whole different thing, man. So girls who typically get a lot of male attention, it can really mess them up.
And I guess kind of being with somebody in any kind of way was better than being by myself. Because that was the worst thing to me. I didn't have friends or anybody.
Guys, if you're a guy who's watching this, I don't remember who in particular discussed it, but please understand that like a lot of the time you're going to have to be okay with being by yourself. Now, girls have this like fast food option where they can choose to not be by themselves and just be with men if they want. But I mean, good luck with that, and good luck finding a husband after all that too.
So,
But you had a long string of boyfriends, though.
yes, I've had lots of boyfriends or hookups or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. Guys, I think we're going to leave the video there. As always, I'm going to link the original video in the description. This is a fantastic channel for interviews if you're interested in watching them. I know a lot of you guys that watch my channel are interested in interviews and seeing under the hood of these sorts of things. But we're going to leave it there. As always, guys, if you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe on the way out. Come and join the Discord link in the description if you haven't already. And if you'd like to support the channel, make sure you check out the Patreon for some exclusive videos and stuff like that. But I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.